Okay. So just to get started, a couple announcements. We did launch our Assistantly plus Open to Close partnership. So if you go to, I believe it's like Go Assistantly here, let me just check it out here and I'll tell you. Go.assistantly.com/open to close. That's going to give you our landing page there. And we are pre-training remote partners to be on your team. So pretty affordable for a pre-trained person. We're going to keep that training ongoing. And we're also going to throw in some VIP support and some other things like that. So you can get all the details on that page as well. Another thing I want to mention is MoveEasy. A lot of people are utilizing MoveEasy, but still seeing pretty low adoption rates. MoveEasy is a free way for you to have the MoveEasy concierge set up utilities for your clients. So, and they will be pushing out some more features as well. What were they doing? They were doing some repairs and things like that. So there'll be some announcements coming, but the main portion of that product is just setting up utilities for clients, getting their driver's license transferred to the new address, all that good stuff. So that's another thing I did want to bring up before we get started here. All right. Well, I don't see any questions up, so I'm just going to kind of dive into some random stuff and we'll go from there. So a couple of the questions I got, and Matthew, if you want to also think of some questions you got from support, it looks like we're pretty light on questions. Oh, actually, here we got a question. How do I create an automatic text or email to be sent based on a task or field day? Example, 2 days before inspection objections are due, send a text to the buyer. Sure. So that's a good one. It's a great way to use this. So you would be doing this in your templates, but I'm just going to go over to the actual task right now. And you have two ways to set up your task triggers. So your task triggers can be if the task is complete, I want these things to happen, or if the task is not complete yet, I want these things to happen. So come in here to a task trigger. And let's go ahead and add one. Now, obviously, you'd be doing this over in your templates, not in an actual transaction, but we'll say task not complete, and then we'll say we want to send a text message. Go ahead and add that. All right, it looks like Zoom's going to keep slowing us down today. Well, come on, Zoom. All right, while we wait for that, I'm just going to go over the, oh, here we go. Okay, so once we're in here, here's the text. I'm going to go ahead and apply a template. I should probably already have a template applied or I'm sorry, created. So I'll come in here and I'll just say sample inspection scheduled. So we'll go ahead and apply that one. That's going to bring this screen up and you can inspect it. You can do whatever you want here, but we're just going to go ahead and close it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. In your templates, you may want to leave these grayed out until you're ready to actually implement these in your business. But just so you guys can see it a little bit better, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on because it does gray it out to let you know that this is not active and it won't be firing off. Like if you add a template to your transaction, that is turned off so it won't fire. Okay, so in here, you got your date and time. And you got your contingency. So if you click on this blue not defined, it's going to ask you when you want to send it. Now this gets a little tricky as far as the dates go, because you want to base it off the date you want to send it, not off like the date that the contingencies do. So I'm going to show you here in a second because you only have a choice for after. So let's say 10 a.m. And then we're going to go, what was your 2 days before inspection? Okay, so 2 days. And so you see, this is the problem with the before. If you want it 2 days before the inspection, the due date of the task has to be a different date. So like you may have, I'm trying to think of how we can do this. So basically the way the system works is it looks at the date, it says, okay, this is due. And now it's going to look at when they need to send these. So it can only be after. That is the one small complication to this. So you're going to want to have some kind of date or some kind of setting on here that the due date for this is, let's say 4 days before that contingency period or inspection objections in this case. So the task would be, no, it can't be the same day either. It has to be, even though I think that might be, Yeah, it does say same day as here. Let me see. Actually, you may be able to do same day as. Yep, I think they did change that. Yep. So you can do a same day as, and then what you can do is have the due date of the task be 2 days before the inspection. Okay. So just a little bit of something to kind of trigger in your head when you're setting up these tasks. You're not going to say the due date for the contingency and it's going to be 2 days before. You're going to set the due date for the task 2 days before, and then you're going to say same day as. And you can still do your weekend rolls and all that good stuff here. And then you can update this. And I love tasks. Honestly, that's one of the ones that I like to use the most is come down here and turn this to automatic. So if you're on our, well, right now it's called the premium add-on. In the future, it's going to be our pro plan. You'll have this option to say send automatically. So now when I check this task off, it's not going to ask me to look at it. It's not going to ask me to do anything. It's just going to fire these things off. So be careful. Make sure that there's not a lot of smart blocks, merge fields, things like that that could go wrong. Someone forgets to input them. Make sure you have the checks and balances that those fields that are in these automatic sends are requirements to become a transaction or requirements throughout the transaction before this. So yeah, just keep that in mind that, you don't want a real heavy email with 15 smart blocks in it and send it automatically. You want to make sure that that one goes up to the health bar for you to check and make sure everything came in correctly. Once you get some confidence in it, obviously you can turn that back on, but at the beginning, I don't recommend turning these on until you test 4, 5, 6, 20 times even. So this is how you do it. So it's going to give you the date based on my due date, same day as task at 10 a.m. And then it's going to say when the task isn't complete, this is going to happen. Now, these ones are task complete. So if I check off the task, it's just going to ignore this and fire these two. If I don't check off the date, or if I don't check off the task and it hits this date, it's going to know to go ahead and send this. And then these are just going to kind of hang out and wait. And then when I go ahead and check these off, when I check that task off later down the line, now it's going to fire these two additional things as well. So it can have multiple functions throughout the transaction. What I like to use these for, the sign went up in the yard and I want to send a text to my agent letting them know that they need to call their client, congratulate them, get them excited, all that good stuff. So sign went up, any kind of notification for the agent. I love those to be texts that are sent automatically. So now that being said, we have the new messaging system coming out soon. So if you are on our scale plan, which is the beta version of the automation plan right now, that one will have the messaging in it, and there's going to be a lot of cool features in there as well that you can do. But these are really cool for the updates, like I said, to update your agents especially. All right. All right. Well, that was the only question. So let me go back over here. And I saw some people navigating the program the other day, and I noticed they were clicking into the transaction, doing one thing, and then clicking back out, and then clicking back into a different transaction and clicking through and then clicking back out. Even if you're not using our task pipeline, which I highly recommend, and I'll go to next. On this screen here, you have this little database button. It's like a stack of chips, or I don't know, it could mean a billion things, but if you click on this, it's going to give you a bunch of shortcuts to the transaction. You can also come over to your property. So you could say, show me all my buyers closing in the next 30 days. And then it's going to pull up that list of properties. And then if I just want to change a field, well, first of all, I could change it here. But if I didn't have that field visible in my table columns, I can just come here, click on this, and I can go down to whatever I want. So emails, text, details is the field. So if I click on details, it's going to pop this open, and I can actually change a field right here. And then when I close it, I'm right back to where I was. So now I'm not going all the way into the transaction, all the way back out of the transaction. I'm able to change a field in less than 10 seconds. And let's just say you don't know where the field is, or you don't know what it's called or something. You can search those. And you type in, I know it starts with CLO. So let's see what pops up. And it's going to look in that particular transaction. So it can't find it. Let me do, nope. So I just don't have closing in this transaction. Let me try another one, like acceptance date, maybe. Nope, I'm burning. This must be like just one of our basic. Let me go to, let me see here. I think this transaction has some stuff in it. Go to search details. And as soon as I start typing, it's going to start listing all these fields underneath. Okay, I don't have it there either. Well, that was an epic fail. There we go. Contract acceptance date. So anything with this in it, it's going to pull up this date. I can click here. I can do all my edits that I need to do, and then I can go ahead and update it here. And the cool thing about this is now you're back in the same position and you didn't have to go 15 seconds in, find it, 15 seconds back out. Everything is just a click or two away. So this is a great place. MoveEasy, follow up boss, default and settings, like everything that you need to do on that transaction is there. Up in the history, this is going to show you like the last 50 transactions you've touched. You can also do it here. You can click this little down arrow. Whoops, apologize. And you can hover over that little down arrow and it's going to give you some of those there. And then you also have this, the search bar. And if you start typing a address in there, it's going to give you this. And you can also hover over that and get this as well. So a lot of different ways to get to actions that you need to take care of. The other thing is on the task pipeline. This is probably one of my favorite features. And it's the same on the trigger pipeline if you're on the more advanced system. But in here, make sure you hit on this. This is your filters. I have all of them checked. I like mine to be big. Some people don't like this because there's just too much going on and they can only see 1 or 2 tasks at a time. I think that's a plus so that I can focus on what I'm doing instead of seeing, you know, my ADD gets out of control when I see 50 things and I start bouncing around. So, and you can save these as snapshots. So you can go through and say, just show me all of my tasks for this particular user that is a buyer that is pending. And I don't want to have to choose that every single time. So I can come up here to snapshots once I do that, and I can say create a snapshot, and it would be for those 3 filters that I just put on. Now, every time I come back to this, I can just go up to snapshots and grab that filter, and it's going to filter down to that. So I can do, a lot of people are numbering these. They're doing number 1. So it's like the first thing they do in the morning. Number 2 is the thing they do if they can get past all their number 1s. 3, the things they'll do if they get past number 1 and number 2, kind of like smart lists or filters in a CRM. Now, when you're on the screen, the thing I love about this is you never have to leave the screen. If I have to come in here and let's say I have to call someone on this transaction, I can hit the person and it's going to pull up Archie, and then I can either expand these or you can have these automatically set. But so let's just say I wanted to call them, or I have to upload a document. I don't want to go all the way into the transaction. Let's just click here. I'll upload that document. I'll close it and I'm right back in my task. If this task now needs to be tomorrow, I can pull that over. If this task needs to be today, I can, I can pull that. Oh, why isn't that working? There we go. Pull that over. All my past due, a lot of different things you can do in here. You still have all the options as you had in your tasks with the internal details. If you have your SOPs listed in there, you have your triggers, tags, recurring, all the stuff you have, but you also have this added bar. I believe this bar may be on the $99 upgrade. So if you don't have it, that's probably the reason. This saves so much freaking time. And also you still have all these too. You have all your utilities in here as well. So while someone's working through these tasks, you can get through your tasks in half a day instead of a day because you never have to leave the screen. You can just keep plowing through the same screen. This is also great for managers to come in here and say, show me all mine. And then they can see how many tasks are due or triggers. Like I said, these are interchangeable, just a little bit different setup. But they can come in here and see that Sally has 10 tasks today and Bill has 40. Well, then they might want to say, hey, Sally, can you help Bill? And let's even this out today. Better time management, better project management with this view, especially now. This goes out to 7 days. So you can actually pull all these open and see like, hey, I'm going on vacation in 7 days. Let's clear this baby out before I go on vacation. So I have very minimal things to do while I'm gone. And it's a more enjoyable experience. I can spend time with my family, all those good things. Now, hopefully you have some people backing you up as well. But just in case you don't, you're a single person with no backup. This is a great way to get ahead of the game. Not all tasks can be done ahead of time, but you can do the ones that you're going to do. Okay. How do you expand your right side like that? Properties with info to the right-hand side on pipeline. Okay, let me reread that. How do you expand the right side like that? I don't know where I was when that happened. Matthew, do you remember where I was when they asked that question about the right side?
I think it was the, and Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was the property table looking at the, she said house icon.
Oh, okay, perfect. So I'm here. A couple different things I did in the screen was one is this button. This is going to give you all the options of all the different things. So in this case, I said I wanted to change the fields. Well, fields are details. That's what it's called. If you want to go to the text or send an email or see my contacts for this transaction or see my documents, let's say documents, that's a good one. You can pull this up. Now I don't have to go all the way into the transaction to upload or download or approve a document. I can just come right here. If I want to, let's see here. Let's say I want to get those fields again, click details, and you can go ahead and edit these right here. So I can edit this property access. So that is going to be a combo lockbox on that property. And I'm going to save that. It's saved. And now I can close this and I'm right back to where I was. The other things that I showed you on here was the history. It's going to show you, I think it's actually 25, the last 25 properties you touched. You can do a little shortcutting here. You can go into the property. You can also see the last 25 contacts you touched. Super helpful because typically you're working in those, if you're an agent team, especially, I mean, not many teams doing over 25 transactions a month. If you're one of those, congrats. But yeah, you can get to all the transactions you've touched recently. Very, very easy. Search properties is also another good one where you can search for a name of a person. So if I wanted to search for SpongeBob, it's not only going to pull open SpongeBob, but it's going to pull open, I believe, the properties that SpongeBob is in, which in this case, I don't have any, but I think I have Morty. Check Rick and Morty. I think I have these guys. No. Okay, I'll have to look at that, but I think it used to pull up, I believe, properties with this person in it. So maybe I don't have anyone, but I'll definitely check on that feature. Cool. All right. Love this. What about the colored sides to the due date status? Okay, so yeah, colors. So there's a lot of colors here, but there's also colors that you can preset if you're on the $99 upgrade. I believe the conditional. So I believe there's coloring on the base plan, but I also believe there's automatic coloring on the 99 plan. So on the base plan, you can go in and say, turn this cell red or turn this cell green. But what I like is when I click on contact, or let's do status. Status is a good one. Okay, so I have all my statuses here. You can see how the field's set up, but you also have over here all the choices. Every time I choose peanut butter, it's going to turn it green. Every time I choose active, it's going to turn it red. Every time I choose active option contract, it's going to turn it this, I don't know what this color is, yellowish. We'll call it yellowish orange. This one is not going to put a color on it. You can do gray. You can do, here are all the colors I'll show you. So there you go. Gray, yellow, blue, fuchsia. I don't know. I'm not an interior designer. Yellowish orange, green, pink, and white. And you can do no color again too, if you want to. So those are really helpful, especially for people that color code a lot of things and use the color balls. This is a good way when these fields come into the transaction, they automatically get populated with a color. So let me just click on that again, that details again. And you can see that these are already colored. Now, if I change this pending, let's see if I have something else. So if I change pending to option, you can see it's red now. And since I changed the status, it's going to ask me if I want to delete all my uncompleted tasks and remove dates from the calendar and all that good stuff. But now you saw that automatically change to that yellowish color. So, all right.
So really quick before you move on, do you want to show them just how you might manually add a color? I believe it's just right clicking on it, but yeah, just in case they don't have the automatic settings.
Yep. So, well, a couple of different things in here actually. So the color for the whole field is going to be here. So you can just click on red and come down here and hit update. And now that turned it red. But we also have these. So these are what are these? Priorities. So let's say before the end of the day, I have to get this additional earnest money done. I have to get the deposit, the receipt, and I have to do a bunch of stuff on it. I don't want to forget before the end of the day. And I follow the no red before bed motto here of my health bar. I'm clearing out all these reds. So what you can do here is you can say this is a high priority field. And now if I go to 1456 West Boise, okay, let me actually just 1456 Boise. Oh, here it is. Okay, so if I come over here to this health bar now, and I'm clearing out all this red before the end of the day, now you can see that the field that I just added here, additional earnest deposit, is now listed in here. So before the end of the day, I'm coming down here and I'm checking all my highs to make sure that I did everything. So that way nothing's going to slip through the cracks and you're not going to forget to do anything by the end of the day. You can also do that with contacts. You can put a priority bar on them, and you can also do it in my favorite is the documents. And so if I come to the documents and pull this up, a little bit different. It's not this color ball. This color ball is totally separate, but over here in the priority, You can click here, click high priority. Did I not click on that? Let's see here. Oh, there we go. So now addendum number 2, if I come up here and I go down to my documents section, I got addendum number 2. So now I know that I need to get signatures or send this out, or, you know, it doesn't tell you what you have to do. You'd have to put a note in for that. But if you just wanted a quick reminder so that you don't forget something by the end of the day, you can just put that high, medium, low on it. Okay. Can you explain webhooks? Is that something that will update a field in another property at a regular set time? No. Webhooks is, I'll show you here. So over in your field editor, if you have access to webhooks, which is advanced feature, what plan is that on? That's on the first upgrade, the $99 upgrade. You'll see these. And what these webhooks are is if I change this field in open to close, and this is checked, it is going to send a file out of the program to either Zapier or the API or however you have it set up. And it's going to stick that value into another program. So what you could do is say you have a CRM, and let's use Follow Up Boss, for example, since that's who we integrate with. You have a Follow Up Boss and you have a closing date over in Follow Up Boss. Well, when I change the closing date over here in open to close, I can have this webhook set. I can have it, let's just use Zapier for an example. I'll have it go over to Zapier. I have a Zap set up in Zapier, and that all that Zap is saying is if, or what did I say, closing date? If closing date changes, I want you to take that field, throw it over here. Zapier is going to catch that hook, and then it's going to throw it over to Follow Up Boss and update that field in Follow Up Boss. So you can see how this becomes important for reporting, CRMs, other programs that you're using that you want to connect to open to close. We're a very open system. And so we want to be able to not have you going to 5 different programs and double typing. We want you to update one thing here and have it sent to 5 different places automatically. So obviously you'll need someone that's familiar with Zapier or just APIs in general. My suggestion would be one of our preferred vendors. Osiris does a lot of stuff. Daniel Poston, the Bar Agency. You know, Justin's done some really cool stuff that I haven't seen before. So anyway, those 3 are probably, am I forgetting someone? Probably forgetting someone, and I apologize. But yeah, they can do some really amazing stuff with APIs and webhooks and things like that. Okay. Something as simple as Google Spreadsheet, even, for example, property price. Oh, heck yeah. Actually, that's probably my favorite thing out of all of this is, so the manual way back in the day in TC workflow, right, was come over here, you put your segments and you say, show me all my buyers closing in 30 days. And then you come down on this side and you say, export CSV file. And basically what it does is it grabs everything in this table, whatever columns you put in there, whatever rows are in here, which are properties. It would grab all this data and it would throw it over into a Google Sheet or Excel or whatever you're using. Now that's very manual. And if let's just say you want to bring your whole file over and you have 5,000 historical properties in here, well, that's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of time, as a matter of fact. So what we would prefer is you call someone from Fiverr or one of our preferred vendors to set this up for you and have this automatically happen. So just set up a Zap and say, anytime I update something in my projects in open to close, or my properties, sorry, we call them projects in the back end sometimes. So it will grab that data and it will throw it over and update your Google Sheet. So you have a living Google Sheet of everything that's happening in every single transaction. What this is great is for reporting. You can create some pivot tables and all kinds of stuff over there where it's going to show you, like, how many times have I used this escrow agent this year? How many times have I used this lender? How many transactions over $1 million did I do? How much commission? You know, it's unlimited, the things you can do with a spreadsheet. And so what we can do is just automatically, anytime I update this field, it's going to send a little notice over there. It's going to zap your spreadsheet and it's going to update that spreadsheet. And now you can go in that spreadsheet anytime. It's great for people that own the company, aren't currently working in it. Maybe you have just in Google Drive, you have this spreadsheet that they can go in and manipulate, and you can have some pivot tables and things set up so that they can get an easy, like, dashboard view of what's happening in all the transactions. Now, that being said, we are working with Bar Agency, and that's BARA agency.com. If you guys are wondering, and let me spell Osiris too, because that's a tough one. OSIRS.co. And then Daniel Poston is at interface.re. So they all have different endings there. So it's a little bit more difficult. But Our agency is currently working with us on some reporting options. So we've partnered with a reporting company, but we've also, we're at the beginning stages of partnering with a very popular reporting system out there. And hopefully everything comes to fruition and we can add value on both sides to him and to us, where we can integrate these two. So stay tuned for that. If you're looking for reporting, you're looking to see all those graphs and tables and set goals for yourself and all that good stuff. I am hoping we'll have that in the next 2-3 months. So yes, to get back to your question, Candace, spreadsheets are probably my favorite out of all of it, because not only do you have a way, I always send everything to Google Sheets first and then from Google Sheets out, because there's so much capability there. But it's also just great for it to have that living document of everything that, hey, say open to closes isn't doing the job in the future and you have to leave. Now you have a historical record of every single transaction that you've ever had, and it's all set up and you have all your data and you don't have to worry about, uploading all that stuff. Now, hopefully that never happens, and hopefully we're innovating at a pace faster than everyone else and you're going to love us and stay with us forever. But that gives you some protection as far as just backups and having that available to you. All righty. That is it for questions on the board so far. So feel free, just put some questions up there for me. Let me see what else. Matthew, anything from this week that particular that you've addressed or you want me to address?
I think most of our stuff isn't so much strategy. It's more just like, hey, I can't, this is probably a good one. Just throw it out there as a heads up as usernames. If you need a user's username for security reasons, it's not shown in the system. That is something our team can just go look up for you real quick and provide that information. I mean, there's just it's a lot of weird little things. What I did want to call attention to, because I liked you were talking about these options and settings that people don't often see or use, where you can easily have shortcuts, if you will. Maybe talking about the queue and how you could build a queue of properties and kind of just cycle through them. I don't see a lot of people really leveraging that one all the time.
Yeah, this is great. So obviously task pipeline, I'm a little partial to this, but this was the kind of the precursor to the pipeline. You can say, hey, I just want to work on all my buyers. So here's all my buyers. I have 514 of them. And maybe I put a filter on here that says only my buyers that are under contract or something like that, because I don't want all my closed transactions showing up in here. But let's just say that we're going to work on the pending ones, and how you would do that, just so you know, is contract status, edit. Now I would do this in a segment. I would say buyers would be my table. Segments would be my pending. I'm going to be a little bit lazy here and just create it right here in front of me, so I don't have to go through that. But so here you go. So now I have all my buyers that are pending. That's going to show up in this table. Now you can see it went from 514 to 187. I just lost my train of thought. Where was I going with this, Matthew? Where'd you tell me to go with this?
Oh, we're talking about building a queue. Just,
yes.
As an alternate to the tables and things like that is.
Yep. I got thinking about tables and segments and totally forgot what I was doing there. Okay. So add the queue. So let's just say we're going to attack all these ones with red on them, because those are the ones we have to get done today, right? Those are our past due and due today. So we can come down here and check this little plus button on all our reds. And let's just pretend we only have as many as on the screen. So there's all my reds. So now I'm not going to worry about all these other ones. Now, when I come over here and I click on this first one, it's going to open up that property, because that's what it's set here for. It's set for properties. Okay. So it says properties. And I can cycle through these. Now I can come over here to this little arrow over, and I can just start cycling through these properties and taking care of what needs to be done. But that's kind of cumbersome, because you're cycling through all these properties like that. I just want to see what's in the health bar, right? So if you want to do that, you can change properties to priorities. And now you can come back up to this first one, and it's going to open up my, oh, sorry, I clicked on the thing. So let me just go to the next one. It's going to actually open up the health bar, and then I can take care of actually what needs done to clear that red. So I can send this email, or add this template, come down here, nothing else due. So that would clear out the red. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to keep these in here for demo purposes. But then you just come and click next, and now it's going to go to the next property and open up this. And now I can come take care of all these, and then I can click next. And so you can cycle through your properties that way. So if you guys are batching by property instead of by task type, like do all my inspection tasks at one time, do all my closing tasks at one time. If you guys are doing, let's do 1577 Dana Street first and then move over to 123 Main Street, this is probably a better way to do it than the task pipeline. Although that being said, and as you're done with them, you can just X those out and it'll just keep getting rid of them off your list. And if you want to come back to it, like say you get a phone call and you want to come back to this later, you can just hit this and it'll disappear, come back and it'll have those same 2 in there. So let me go ahead and I'll leave those in there for now. I'll just do that. In task pipeline, since I did mention it, there is a way to, if you want to go through your properties, you can just click this home. This is also going to give you the same thing as the history, the last 25 properties you've touched. And then you can say, I only want to see the stuff that's due on this property. And it's going to add it here with the health bar that you can go into, but now it has all the tasks. And this is, I don't update these tasks, obviously, so they're all in past due. But let me move a couple of these out here. So anyway, this is what it would look like. And then you can work through one transaction at a time if that's what you prefer. So, and if you're done with that transaction, you want to go to a different one, you can either just select another one or you can, so if I select this, it's going to change it, update my table here, or I can just get rid of it. And now it's going to go to all my transactions. And you can filter by color ball and, is this an appraisal task or a closing task, critical, pinned, all this good stuff. So a lot of different options. And don't forget about saving these as snapshots. You don't have to create these every single time. Okay. So yeah, Q is probably the least used. The people that are using it at a really high level and getting through their day much, much faster. But it's one of those features that we just had so many features come out about the same time that there wasn't a lot of education on it. And that's my fault. But yeah, I would definitely explore this if you're working transaction to transaction throughout your day, for sure. So a good point, Matthew.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of people, handle transactions in different ways, and everybody's brain kind of works differently. So I like to just give them all the options.
For sure. Yeah, it's crazy. We talked to all these people and they're doing the same state, even the same city, and the way they do transactions is completely different from each other. Both successful, but totally different. Okay, so here's another thing that people don't go into is these additional settings. Global settings, you should get real familiar with these, especially with the default settings. If you haven't come in here, please come in here, read through these, make sure you understand them. If you don't, reach out to us, we'll explain them. So settings are popular. A lot of times people don't know like how to get to the filters. So how do I change my contact roles and file roles and my businesses and my groups and my lead source? All this stuff is, contact tags. I forgot we added that. So yeah, so we have a lot of different little filters in here that you can come and change. Obviously the field editor, that's your fields. You get your template menu. This is where merge fields are in smart blocks. Now you can there are a bunch of shortcuts up here. So shortcut keyboard shortcuts. You can pull this open and like Control O is your organizational panel, Control S is smart blocks, Control A is your merge fields, Control N is your notes. These are super helpful to fly around the system. So anyway, those are there. You also have, like I said, smart block is Control S. Sometimes you have to click off into some empty space here. Like if you click over here where my cursor is, somewhere in dead spot, you might need to do that before you click a control whatever, because obviously Windows or Mac has their own set of those shortcuts. So if you're just like, sometimes if I hit Control F right now, it may pop up the find instead of the Control F in our program. So sometimes like if you want to do a find, you have to click up here somewhere like in some dead space and then hit Control F and now the find will come up. So there you go. Okay, let's see here. What else? So templates, or I'm sorry, global settings, very important to get to know your settings, your APIs and your apps. Those are also important. There's your webhooks, API tokens, things like that. All righty, let's see if there's anything else.
I had a couple of questions come up. I was just thinking about what else might have been floating there. And with date fields inside of a transaction, one of the things I wanted to point out is when you are pushing those over to a calendar, whatever access that you have with the calendars, and you want to push that over to maybe your calendar, to your contact's calendar, the date and the time and how those work together. I've had people get a little confused because if you don't plug in a time for the date field, Google basically considers that an all-day event. And so it shows up on the calendar just a little funny. It might be hard to demonstrate this one unless you want to try and like push something to a calendar. But basically, if you do not plug in the time, it's going to be at the top of your calendar, and then it'll just be, so it's not gonna like block out your entire calendar or anything like that, but it's gonna show the event at the very top.
Yeah.
And so we've had people get a little confused, and all they have to do is plug in 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and suddenly it's actually taking up that time slot, and then it looks like it makes more sense.
Yeah. So like if you have a closing and you have, and that's the cool thing about these API calendars, you can have as many calendars hooked up here as you want. So like our team obviously does like closing calendar, buyer important dates calendar, seller important dates calendar, all this stuff. So you can do some of this stuff if you have access to if your agents will give you access to their account or like okay you through Google, you'll have access to their calendars and you can actually push it to the correct calendar for them if you want, or you can just push it to their calendar down here, obviously. But yeah, you can come in here. If you don't have this 8 to 9, it is going to appear as an all day event at the top. Now that's what you probably want for some of these. Like some of these are just like that day. You don't have a time yet, but like a closing or a signing, they have to go sign the papers. Obviously, you want to say it's 4 o'clock at the title company or whatever, and put that on their calendar the correct way. So, yeah, good point.
Yeah, and the bottom there too is another thing. Well, it's actually not showing on your screen here at the moment, probably because it's contingent. But you can actually put a reminder, so you can say like 30 minutes before this time, send out an email reminder that this is their closing is, signing is coming up, something like that.
Nice.
So.
All right. What else we got here? A lot of people don't see these. So here are your field groups. If you're in different states, you could have different fields for different states. I've seen people break these up like crazy. I've seen people just keep them all in one big detail. I don't do a separate dates one. I know in TC workflow, the way it used to be was like details and then dates. I don't like bouncing around from place to place. Now, some people don't like this long, tons of things here. You can't hide these if you're not using them right now. So you can hide these to kind of pull everything up. But I like to put everything in details as much as possible and then separate out things like commission or like listings, agent intake questions. I don't want to see those throughout the whole transaction unless I need to. So those are your field groups, but this one is the one people miss a lot. The ability to duplicate a transaction, delete a transaction. Not that you should be deleting a transaction, quite a bit, but it is there in case you need it. Refresh the property, refresh the details. Default settings, this is a big one. A lot of people forget to, on the initial stage when it becomes a transaction, they forget to set the signature that they want it to come from. So setting that signature is very, very important. Applying property templates. So after the fact, let's say that someone discovers a well on the property and you have a property template for adding tasks and well documents that you would need to get. Well, you can put both of those templates in one property template and call it the well property template and apply that. And now everything will come in at one time. If you have 5 different templates, they'll all come in at one time. And then managing your fields, you can do that here, but we also added it down here now. So let's say one of your dates didn't calculate and you're wondering why. Well, maybe one of your fields didn't come into the transaction that was supposed to. So you have to check your intake forms, but you can also just, for a quick fix, come in here and say, whoops, I forgot to add the MLS number. And then I will close this. And now the MLS number is in here and I can add it. And hopefully that will calculate my date. That wouldn't make sense, obviously, but you know what I'm saying? If this is contingent upon calculating a date and you don't have that field in the transaction, it's not going to calculate. So sometimes that happens while you're working out your intake forms. You're going to have to just test until you get it where it's working very well. Okay, is there a way to separate the calendars? We have a transaction dates calendar for clients and an open house calendar for agents. It doesn't seem like they are separate. You'd probably want to do the routing through here and then have your API calendars hooked up here. So you would have your give access to your calendar for clients and then your open house calendar and whatever other calendars you have. So you can do that through where do I want this date to push to which calendar, and you can push it over to a certain calendar there. Anything else to add on that, Matthew?
Oh, just to say about the contacts there, it's a lot of this, the creating the event and then sending the invite, stuff like that. A lot of that's handled by Google. So with these contacts and it's based off of the email, it's almost like if you went into, you create this event, you add it to your calendar, and I'm going to add in a bunch of emails that I want to send these invites to. That's pretty much how the available contacts works here. So with Morty being selected, once we create this event, it's going to send that invite for that date event over to whatever email that is. So that, I just want to make a difference, kind of clarify the difference between adding it to the calendar like you're showing up at the top. Yep. And, sending an invite to one of the contacts. So.
Yep. Cool. Okay, 11:40. We got 20 minutes left. I don't see any more questions. Let's hang out for another 5 minutes. And then if we don't get any more questions in the next 5 minutes, we will go ahead and shut her down. The More tab is where you're going to find that MoveEasy that I mentioned earlier. So if you do want to have MoveEasy, call your client, set up their utilities for them, make it really easy on you, especially if you're an independent TC. You can add it to your list of things that you do. You don't have to pose it like you're actually doing it, but you could add it to your list of services. This is totally free for you guys. So MoveEasy gets paid by, vendors like Cox Cable or Spectrum or whoever the heck you have, Fios. They get a little piece of those when they set up their services. So that's how they can offer it to us for free. I would definitely take advantage of this. I've only had one report that they called someone too much. I tested them compared to a lot of the other utility concierge companies. They were by far the best in communication, by far the best in not bothering your client, by far the best in a lot of categories. Also, the category of being able to log on and go to the website, also going to the app to take care of things, or just letting the concierge call you and having the concierge take care of things on your side if the client doesn't want any part of that. So I think they have a lot of different options, and at least in my personal experience with them, they've been great. And so I would highly advise you to check that out. Follow Up Boss, if you're using Follow Up Boss, no brainer. Probably the best integration we have because their API is so good. SkySlope, good integration. Their API is good, not great. And so there are a few limitations there. Loop is pretty well thought out. Brokerment's pretty good. You do have to have a enterprise account, I believe, with Brokerment to make this work. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure you have to have an upgraded version of Brokerment. And then DocuSign is coming very, very soon. We are just waiting on the final documentation here from DocuSign, and we're going to roll this out really soon. So I'm really excited to see. We're going to get a lot of adoption on that one. A lot of people using DocuSign. All right. Still don't see any questions. We'll hang out for a couple more minutes. Any last thoughts, Matthew, on anything else I need to cover before we wrap this up?
Sure. This was kind of basic, but I've had people get confused when they are trying to remove users from their account. Maybe somebody left the team, whatever it might be. And when they try to delete the user, they might get this message saying, hey, so-and-so is still associated to some projects. And that can be a little confusing for people because they're like, I don't know what they're connected to. What are you talking about? Often what that means is they're associated with a team. This is what I've seen happen a lot, where you need to remove the users from any of the teams that they might be associated with before you can delete them from the account. So I think the messaging might be a little confusing for people where do you know if Maria is associated with anything or assigned to a...
She is. Let me go ahead and delete her. Actually, you know what? I might have deleted her from the two teams because I think I did this on the last demo that I did, but we'll try it. I don't care if she gets deleted. We'll delete her. There was an issue deleting
perfect
user. The team user is assigned to 11 projects as a team user. Okay. So now here comes, one of the things that I have suggested for the future is to, be able to click into Maria and see exactly what team she's listed on without having to go into every single one. Right now, it's a little bit of a manual process because you have to come into teams and you have to say who's on the one-person team. Is Maria on here? Nope. Okay, two-person team. Is Maria on here? Nope. And let's see here. I think I took her off these teams actually, Matthew, but I think that she's still associated with a project. Let me see. I might add her back on to one team just for the demo. Oh, there she is. So she's still on this team. So I would have to delete her from this team before I can delete her from the whole account because she may be the transaction coordinator. She may be the intake specialist. She may be the, she may have all these roles on her. Like she's actually taking care of tasks. And what we don't want is you deleting Maria and not realize that it just ripped her name off all those tasks that she was associated with. So now you have these tasks just floating and nobody knows they have to do them. Now you're dropping the ball left and right and it doesn't look good for your business. So we had to put that fail safe in there that if you try to delete Maria, it's going to say, hey, whoa, you have to reassign all Maria's tasks. And that's the next step that you'll see is when you delete someone, it's going to say, hey, anything that's assigned to Maria, where do you want it to go? Like, do you want Monty to take care of it? Do you want Peter to take care of it? And you can do those pull down menus. It'll reassign everything. Then you can delete Maria. So all it is a fail safe for you. It is a little confusing because that message is, let me show you that message again. It's just a touch confusing because there's an issue deleting this team member. The team member is assigned to 11 projects. So in the back end of the system, a project is a property. So that gets a little confusing for people because they see projects and they're like, what the heck's a project? It's just a property. So you would just have to go in there and delete. That's a really good point, because that one comes up quite a bit, Matthew.
Yeah, it's super easy to get through. It's just I think the terminology does throw people through a little bit of a loop. Like, huh? Wait, what does that mean?
Yeah, projects, properties, same thing on our end.
Yeah. The reassignment is really the key part there. So when you're going through, like you were showing with the teams, and you're removing people from the team, it's going to give you that prompt saying, "Hey, if anything's assigned to this person, even if there's not, you got to choose somebody to push it over to," because every property would need to have a team assigned to it and a team user, which is kind of like the main point of contact. And if any of those things are not plugged in, it causes problems.
So here's the first step. Maria is assigned to this team. Reassign intake forms to a different team member. So if you have an intake form, and when that intake form is filled out, it's Maria is getting notified of that. Or team, whatever team I chose. And I don't even remember what the team name was, but I can come in and say, I want to reassign this to the buyer transaction team. And maybe Adam is the main person in charge on that team. So now everything's going to get rerouted to the buyer transaction team and Adam. Then I come down here, reassign properties. So anything that Maria is assigned to on this, who do I want to assign to that role or those roles? And so I can come down here and choose the team again. And then whoever is in that role on that team will now be assigned. So thousands and thousands of tasks could be updated just by clicking this and then deleting Maria from the team, which I'm not going to do right now. But if I deleted her, then everything would go over to this and this, depending on what aspect of the program we're talking about. So. All right. All right. Let's see. 11:47. That's Pacific time, by the way. Okay, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I don't think there's too much else to cover. So I'll give you another minute, just because if you thought of something when I was doing that, go ahead and type it in. Otherwise, thank you for being here. Really appreciate your attendance on these. Makes it great for us, honestly, because we don't have to think of a ton of things to talk about when you're asking questions. We'll be here same time, same place next week. We do have a ton of partnerships and things coming out in the future that are going to make your life really, really easy, and super excited. Can't talk about them yet because they're not finalized, but man, tons of value coming to you guys, tons of time savings on transactions, tons of integration partners. Like the things that are coming in the next 12 months are pretty mind blowing. So thanks again for being here. We'll see you next week, same time, same place.